started recording the things and then share the content from my computer. Yes, of course, don't forget to turn back to WebEx environment. Okay, now the things you see your face, just a picture, screenshot. Okay. And then, well, I'm going to start from here. You know, yesterday reached to that stage at the end of the meeting session. We created the solid model of such a composite prism, where not in Inventor, in AutoCAD. I talked about first what is the difference between this line creation tool, okay, to know, and this one, polyline versus a piece of straight line. Well, if you created the boundary lines for having a closed area indent, yes, it must be closed area, using polyline facility, then it is going to be automatically recognize the area, say, bounded by the segments of polyline, will be automatically recognized as a region. Yeah, yes, it must be a region in AutoCAD, well, to show for creating the model of something. If you apply extrusion process, then, well, it is going to be a right prism. But if you created the boundary lines using this tool, this piece of line creation tool, then, well, after having the closed area as bounded by this, the successive lines, those have been created using this tool, then, well, you should click on the arrow along the title of the drawing panel, find region definition tool. Here is the button to click, and then clicked on this, indicate the area. Well, the rest will be achieved by the software. It is going to be thereafter considered, recognized as a region, and then apply. But if the profile to have is a rectangle, then, well, use rectangle creation tool, this tool, to have the bounded area as automatically recognized as a region. Yes, and then, well, after creating a rectangle, applied extrusion process, had the base of this prism, and then I said that to be able to add new features, well, there is a difficulty in AutoCAD, coordinate system. If you know the coordinates of the characteristic point of the feature, which is the new feature to be added, then, well, with respect to a certain specific point, then first using these tools, coordinates in coordinates panel, using the tools, be able to bring the coordinate axis to their origin, of course, to that point. Relative to that point, you know the coordinates of the characteristic point of the base of the new feature. Yes, then, well, created the cylinder. And you learn one more thing in AutoCAD. Whenever you create a new part, it is first considered by the software as a component, and the object as an assembly. If it is the case, say that object is not an assembly but a single component, then using Boolean tools, this algebraic tools, Boolean algebra, here, if the ribbon is home ribbon, well, the buttons to click for adding, for subtraction and intersection are in smaller size. But if you select solid tab, then you can find the Boolean process buttons in a greater size, which one you like. Okay. And then yes, apply the addition process, unification process, indicate the components, indicate the objects to say that these are not components of an assembly, but these are the features of the same component. Yes, we apply unification process and unified cylinder and the prism, rectangular prism. I said that while using the technique can cut the material, we created this hole, but in creating the hole, I made a highlighted delivering negative sentences. I said that in AutoCAD, impossible to create a hole as a standard hole. Today, probably the third hour of today, I'm going to talk about types of holes and then make it more understandable, more clear, saying standard hole, what we mean. Yesterday, I delivered few sentences about a standard hole, about the standard hole. But today, well, you're going to see my brief presentation, short presentation about drilling and types of holes. It is a kind request, dear students, keep your microphones in mute mode, okay? Make them off. This is, of course, the request, kind request for the newly joined students. If you are a student just newly joined to this class, then let me inform you on the password of today for the first hour. It is view. Okay, quickly do it because time is almost up to record that you attended. Okay. And then, well, lastly, talk about 3D polyline tool. Yes, this is the 3D polyline. Whenever the points to indicate for having an area bounded by successive lines are not in the same plane, different planes, then this means to be able to draw the boundary of the region, of the area for having the necessary region, need to use not 2D polyline tool, but 3D polyline tool, I said yesterday. And then, well, doing this also inform you on the types of surfaces, flat surfaces. I said frontal surface. You remember, I think, using this model, I said frontal surface, profile surface, horizontal surface, inclined surface, and oblique surface. Yes, you remember. And then, well, I educated, I think, I hope I managed to educate you on the answer of that question, how an oblique surface is created, can be created in AutoCAD. Yes, we mark the points first. These are still shining. In doing this, well, opening a parenthesis and said that point style in the default configuration of AutoCAD is wrong. AutoCAD, to its default configuration, available setting, uses dot for the points. Dot is not a distinguishable marker because it may seem as if it were a pixel point in the screen, or if the dot is along a straight line, then how you can distinguish where it is? Mainly because of that reason, to be able to make the markers distinguishable in engineering drawing for marking the points, we use tilted crosses. Okay, and then, well, I hope you remember how. If not, then you can watch the video record one more time. How the point style is changed, how they are marked. Yes, to be able to mark these 3 points, well, I broke the origin to that corner. If there were no such a surface, then there would be a sharp corner over there. And with respect to that corner, inputting XY values for these 3 points, okay? And for one of them, well, since the Z-axis is at the correct place, well, clicking on one more time comma button, comma Q of keyboard, then input the Z value as well for this point I remember. Okay. Yes, I think it's okay. You remember the things studied yesterday, thanks to my brief reminding delivery. Well, here, creating this channel, remember in my first attempt, I found the necessary rectangle at the wrong side. And then say that, oops, well, why it became so? Because, well, dynamic input button is on. If it is on, then, well, see, if you're going to create the rectangle, inputting it is width and height values, okay, yes, if this is on, then see in the simulation whether the rectangle in the simulation is in the correct direction, ready to be created. Just write the width and height values to their absolute values, not a matter width is at the negative side or positive side of the coordinate axis. But I said, instead of inputting width and the height values, if you're going to input the coordinates of the corner points, then yes, it is important if the corner point to locate with respect to the first corner point relative to the first point is in the negative sense of the it is the point to mark moving the cursor in the negative direction of the coordinate axis, write the coordinate value as negative. Well, I delivered such long sentences. Well, it is my doubt, at least some of you, well, my delivery couldn't be understandable. So, well, allocate more time for this detail and then creating one more channel, okay? Let me make it clear enough. Okay, now, you know, in the design of this object at the bottom side, well, to say bottom side, let me inform you that I consider this side of the object as it is front side. After saying that the front side is that side, then can talk about the others as you learn in kindergarten school. Left side, right side, top side, bottom side, back side. Okay, if you said that this is the front side, the opposite side relative to you is the back side. Okay, well, in this orientation, this side of the body is closer to the surface of the earth. It is called bottom side. Opposite side is the top side. Well, here, since it is a composite prism, there are more than one top sides. This is the top side of the base, and this surface is the top side of the cylinder. Saying top side, what you mean? The top side of which feature? Then mention it. For instance, in delivering a sentence, say that top side surface of the cylinder, cylindrical extension, top side surface of the base. But if you mean, say that the surface it is at the highest level, then say most top surface, bottom side surface. If you have in the design of the object more than one left side surfaces, then mention left side surface of which feature. It is important. Otherwise, the other person may not understand what you mean. For instance, here, this is a left side surface, this is a left side surface, this is a left side surface. And that one also a left side surface. Well, if you mean that this is the surface, then mention that most left surface. Okay? Or here, left side surface of the triangular prismatic extension. Use such adjectives. Define the feature. Okay, well, okay, close that parenthesis. And then, well, to be able to allow you to see, since the color of this metal is a dark color, you may not distinguish easily in this realistic appearance. I'm going to change the visualization style to wireframe, or, well, conceptual. Okay. I think this mode, if I mark a point, etc., or create something over a surface, can more easily distinguish. Okay, now let me create a channel, one more channel. It is to start from this surface, frontmost surface. Okay, making a highlighting on the difference between inputting the width height values and inputting coordinate values of the corners. Okay, now I'm going to input the coordinate values for the first point and the other corner point with respect to this corner. Why? Because let's say that in the case I know the coordinates of the rectangle. It is the profile to have at the beginning of the channel. Okay, relative to this point. So since I'm going to input the coordinates relative to this point, you know the difficulty. Coordinate frame, the origin of the coordinate frame must be at such a point. How? You know my favorite method, 3-point method. Clicked on this button. Yes, you see I took a right to move the coordinate frame. System in the first compartment right now asking me where is the origin. Origin of the coordinate system. Of course, snap enabling button is on, and you have already enabled the software to indicate the terminal points, endpoints. So, well, thanks to this enabling, I can indicate this corner as the location for the origin of the coordinate system. Moving the cursor here, and then after seeing the green square is used for for endpoints, you know, click the mouse. I said that it is the origin. It is the location for the origin. And then now system asking me to show another point along the axis. You know, origin is a point along X, Y, and also the Z axis. To be able to direct the X axis, well, find the characteristic points. Here, this corner is a characteristic point, and snap it, indicate it. Yes, after indicating the second point, then the x-axis will be fixed to its orientation. It is now coinciding with that intersection. And then the third click to locate the second point along the y-axis. I'm going to indicate this corner as the point along the y-axis. And you see, this is the technique. Yesterday, I talked about such things as well. One more time, for the necessary review, demonstrated how this tool is used for which purpose. Now, XY plane is coinciding with the most front surface of the object. And then relative to this corner, I know the coordinates of the first corner point of the rectangle. Why rectangle? Because the channel is a rectangular prismatic channel. Start the rectangle creation process. And now system, you see in the first compartment prompting. Specify the first corner point. First corner point in this example is along the edge of the bottom side surface. Say that abscissa value for the first corner point is, okay, then let me say 60. Clicked on comma key. Ordinate value is 0. Since it is along the edge of bottom side surface, ordinate is 0. And press enter. Yes, you see the corner point is over there. And now system, since dynamic input tool is on, dynamic input button along to status bar is on, you know, it is always true. After starting a process, can find useful simulation. Well, here in the simulation, I think it is understandable. The highlighted box is ready to accept the width value. And after clicking on Tab key, while the other box will be active to gather the height value. Here, yesterday, I said that if you're going to input width and height, and you're keeping the dynamic input button is on status, then not a matter the width is in the negative sense or positive sense of the coordinate axis. Actually, it is not a coordinate, it is the width. So write it, if in the simulation you see the rectangle in the correct direction. For instance, my purpose is to have a rectangle, have the rectangle in this sense, not in that sense. Okay? So, well, if the direction of the rectangle or positioning of the rectangle is correct, then write the width and height values using positive numbers, absolute values, width, height. For instance, width of the rectangle is, say, 60. Clicked on Tab key. If it is the first number is the width and the second number is the height, don't forget this is important. Clicked on, after writing the first number, Tab key of your keyboard. Tab key is the key on which there are two arrows to the right, to the left. Yes, there is a trick. It is a trick. Tab key. Now, AutoCAD understood that this number is the width, and now system is ready for the height. Height is 30, let's say. Press enter. That is it. And then I'm going to say oops, and then create the rectangle again. Clicked on rectangle creation button. For the first corner point, I remember I said 60 is the abscissa, ordinate is 0. Press enter. And then write the first number 60. And then if this 60, this number is not the width but the coordinate for the opposite corner, top right corner, okay, then clicked on comma key, not tab key, comma key, okay. And then if it is the coordinate for the opposite corner of the rectangle, yes, it is important. If you write the ordinate value as positive, since the y-axis, positive side of y-axis is in the up direction, then the opposite corner will be at the top level, higher level. Okay? For instance, write the value as positive. Then the rectangle will be the one, it is other corner will be at a higher level. But if your purpose is to create a rectangle such that it is other corner point is to be relative to the first corner point at a lower level, then write the ordinate value as negative. It is important. You see in the simulation I have no width, height boxes. Clicking on comma key after writing the first number, I sent the message to the software. I said that first number, not the width, but it is the abscissa value for the second corner point relative to the first. Ordinate value relative to the first point is written, if it is written as negative, then this means the coordinate relative to the first point is at a place, it is for that point the relative displacement is negative, because, well, y-axis to its positive side is in the up direction. If you write the coordinate value, ordinate value relative to the first point, Okay, if the value is the relative coordinate, then I mean, in short, the direction of the axis ought to be paid attention. While here, I'm going to write ordinate value as negative, minus, for instance, 30. Then, well, see, press enter. You see rectangle created at the opposite side, because I said that relative to this corner, it is the first corner. The coordinate of the other corner, it is in the diagonal direction opposite corner, uses well, negative displacement. If the point relative to the first point is at a place, okay, and relative displacement is in the negative sense of the coordinate axis, don't forget, write the coordinate value with negative sign. Yes, I want to make this point clear. Shall you input width and height? Then no problem, okay. But of course, if you know the trick, click on tab key. After writing the width, click on tab. But if you're going to input the coordinates, yes, the sign of the coordinate is important. If the point is in the sense, negative sense of the coordinate axis, to mark, write the coordinate as negative. Okay. Say, oops. Then if you want, I can create the channel. Okay, complete this part. One more time, started the process. For the first point, first corner point, axis size at 60. Clicked on comma key. Don't forget, separate X, Y, Z values, clicking on comma key. Okay. Ordinate is 0, press enter. And then, well, move the cursor in the direction to have the output of the process at the correct side, not here, but there. And then into the boxes, write the width and height values. Width of the channel is 60. Clicked on tab key. Height of the channel is 30. Press enter. And then, well, create the channel. How? First, create the rectangular prism as solid. I started extrusion process, indicate this profile. You see, when I bring the cursor to the region to indicate the profile, the surfaces of the existing body is being highlighted. So I'm in difficulty in indicating that profile. You know the shooting method for this problem, this trouble. Change the style, visualization mode to wireframe, and then easily indicate. Restart the extrusion process and indicate this rectangle. Press enter, and then, well, if you're going to have an extended feature, move the cursor toward the atmosphere. If it is going to be cutting process, move the cursor into the existing body. Well, this channel as well, let's say, going to be truly extending. If yes, furtherly move the cursor. But if the channel is to be a blind channel, okay, then create a blind channel here. Say that it is depth in the Z direction. It is length is say that 40. Press enter. Okay, that is it. But not the end of that creation stage, because unrealistically in AutoCAD, you know, I have now a solid rectangular prism within another solid rectangular prism. As if it were an assembly, I need to apply at this stage subtraction process. Okay, clicked on the subtraction button, and then first indicate the main part to say that from this part, don't forget to click on enter key, subtract the newly created one, indicate the second box. Press enter. Now it is okay, it is an empty space. Okay, start seeing the things well, as if real in this mode. I selected shaded option, and then see that it is true, created such a blind channel. But since there is one more channel you see in the design of this blind channel actually is as if simple channel because it is extending to the other channel. Okay. Yes, since I have already input the material, after creating a new feature, unfortunately, I need to repeat the material assignment stage. Visualize tab, and then materials browser. And then I remember yesterday I said material is bronze polished. Hold it with a click and drag the mouse toward the surface of the last created feature, and then release the finger. AutoCAD understood that it is the surface of the same object, it is made of that material. Okay, close the dialog box. Yes. Although it is the same object, to record in the memory that it is the subjected thing in the content of a different day, I'm going to pass through the saving stage one more time to be able to record it as the first class work of today. I'm going to save this file with a different name. Okay, then start save as process, saving process, selecting save as option. Okay, in the save as dialog box, you know, if you cannot see the dialog box, file dia is the command to write, or parameter to bring the parameter dialog. It is the keyword file dia, and the correct parameter is 1. But in my case, it is okay. Well, show the address, clicking on this, which partition, which folder. It is this folder. And then, well, write the file name after showing the address. Surname, lowercase letter, ID number. And this is the first class work of today, CW1. But the date is not the 24th, 25th. Okay. Save it with a different name. Okay. And then creating the solid models in AutoCAD. Well, repeatedly clicking on the same button. Rotate it like this. Okay. Well, one technique is that, well, yesterday I started using that technique. Well, create the features one by one, okay, marking the characteristic points of the new feature with respect to the existing one. In doing this, bring the coordinate frame to a point, okay, characteristic point of the already created feature, relative to that point, relative to the origin, locate the characteristic point for having the base of the new feature, and then apply the process. Yes. The other technique is this one. Well, okay. What is that? See my demonstration. By the way, whenever you need to have XY plane, not as coincided on to a certain surface, but with the other surface, but the origin is suitable for you. No need to change the origin, but just to change the plane to which XY plane is to be coincided, then, you know, rotate the coordinate frame. This is maybe also a useful review. To be able to rotate the coordinate frame in coordinates panel, it is repeated along visualize ribbon and along home ribbon. Which one you prefer? Coordinates panel. It is the same panel, you know. Click on this listing arrow and then see curly arrow is to imply that, to say that rotate the coordinate frame. I'm going to rotate the coordinate frame about the x-axis, for instance. So select this one. X implies that it is for rotating the coordinate frame about x-axis. Start the rotation process. Angle of rotation. If you know the angle of rotation, then well, write the number into the box. Well, when I move the cursor to have the y-axis as extended in the correct sense, I see that within the box, the angle is 270. This means the angle to right is 270. Or if you know that the second point along the y-axis is at the characteristic location or passing through a characteristic point, it can snap the cursor. Yes, it is, you see, a snappable point indicated, and then have the coordinate axis over there. Yes, now xy plane is coincided right now with the bottom side surface. Okay, then yes, the other technique, but for the other technique, it is not a mess. So this is just a key study example. In this example, say that xy plane, no, well, say, oops, to be able to make the exercise a little bit more valuable, say that have the xy plane as in xy plane, yes, vertical. xy plane is vertical. Okay, then, well, you know, if xy plane just coinciding with a surface, then if you create a rectangle or a profile or a region, then it is going to be the profile drafted over the surface, okay, of the existing object. It is coincided with the xy plane. Okay, but here in the second method, I'm going to create a polyline for saving time. Well, arbitrarily indicate the starting point, not with respect to the origin. I brought the cursor to this place in the atmosphere, okay, and then indicate the starting point arbitrarily without typing any coordinate value, and then move the cursor, okay, in this sense. Let me write the length of the first boundary, okay, say that it is I don't know, let me say 30 is the length. Clicked on in the simulation, you see I have angle box, tab key to say that inclination angle. Relative to the x-axis, the angle is ready to be measured and gathered. Say that it is 0. Press enter. Now here, this line which I created is parallel to the x-axis. Okay, since the angle is measured relative to the positive side of x-axis, writing the angle as 0, I had the first segment as parallel to the x-axis. Okay, and the other segment, okay, the line creation process is endless. I have already started polyline creation process. This is the second segment of the region ready to be created. The length of this segment is, let's say, 50. Clicked on tab key and the angle is 90 degrees. Press enter. Now, since I wrote the angle as positive, say angle as what? Well, the same trick. You see, although I aim to have the line, okay, relative to this first segment in the up direction, I had the line in the opposite direction. Why? Well, coordinate axis, sense of coordinate axis issue. Okay, it is important. Well, if you couldn't find the line in the correct sense, then change the sign. Okay, This means you type the number in the wrong sense as negative or as positive. Change it. Okay. But here it is okay for me. This is the other boundary. And for the third boundary in this example, since I want to have a triangle, I am going to snap the starting point. I had a triangle, you see. I'm going to create a triangular prism. Well, but I know the triangular prism is required over here as a feature of this existing body. Although it is so, well, since I don't want to deal with the location of the starting point, okay, without paying attention, where is the coordinate system, coordinate frame, where is the origin, just arbitrarily mark the first point with a simple click and then created the boundaries of the profile. It is a region, okay, then apply extrusion process. Indicate this profile with a click at any point, press enter, and then create the triangular prism. The depth of the triangular prism in this example, let's say, is 40. Yes. To be able to make it distinguishable, I'm going to change the visualization style from shaded to conceptual. Yes, it is a triangular prism. Okay, and then in the second technique, I said arbitrarily at an arbitrary place, create the model of the new feature, new entity. In this example, it's a triangular prism, and then be able to bring this prism, okay, to its place, okay, correct place, from this arbitrary place to the correct place. Okay, well, in this example, this triangular prism is required over here. Okay, but it is not at its place yet. Well, in modify panel, there are two tools to use in this method. Move, 3D move. Yes, I broke the cursor here, and then it is written three-dimensional move process. Move this prism from here in 3D space to its correct location. Whenever the orientation of the created prism is wrong to have as a feature of the existing body, then rotate it. The following one, this is the other tool to use in this method, 3D rotate. I'm going to first rotate it to orient it as it is required to have in the end. Clicked on this button, start the 3D rotation process. Indicate, you see it is written select object. Here is the object at any point indicated. And object or entity indication stage is endless, you know. To be able to finish the indication stage, the thing to do is that press enter. After clicking on enter key, please distinguish, well, there is a simulation. In the simulation, there are 3 circles. Okay, one of the circle, one of the ring is in red color. It is to imply that it is the ring to indicate to rotate the body about x-axis. You know, for the x-axis, AutoCAD uses red color. The other ring is in green. This means if we indicate this ring with a click, then can rotate the selected object about the y-axis. And the third one is blue. This means it is for rotating the prism about the z-axis. Here system asking me for a base point. Base point means for rotation process, it is the point. About that point, well, the object is rotated. But here my purpose is in this at this arbitrary place rotate this prism about the axis of this ring. Okay, instead of indicating base point, okay, if for instance need to rotate it about this point, then indicate this point as the base point. But my purpose at this arbitrary location, just simply rotate it about the axis. It corresponds to this ring. You see, when I bring the cursor to the vicinity of the ring, start seeing a green line. Okay, about this axis, rotate. Here, there is one more thing. Although you see in the model, the y-axis right now here is in the vertical direction, but you see the axis, it corresponds to green ring, and I said that green ring implies that the ring, if the ring is indicated, then the selected one will be rotated about y-axis. Why it is not matching? Here, when I bring the cursor to the vicinity of the ring, I see that y-axis is in this direction, but here y-axis is in a different direction. First, to be able to make it just as matching, well, open a parenthesis, press escape button, cancel this rotation process, and then, well, for the first time this semester, inform you. You know, for my convenience, I move the coordinate frame to this point. And then, using this coordinate frame, managed to create this feature. And then, well, if you don't want to see the coordinate frame as attached to your model, then yes, see how? Clicked on this button on which we have coordinate axis with a ball. It looks like the Earth. Okay, it is word positioning button. If you clicked on this button, then the coordinate frame will turn back to its original place. Okay, well, here the absolute origin is over here. And now, after clicking on Word Coordinate System button, y-axis is in this sense. So, well, rotation process, if it is started clicking on this button, actually uses the direction of the axis, uses the coordinate axis at the place of the word location, absolute location of the frame. Okay, well, actually, to be able to complete this demo, need to use 5 more minutes. I don't want to shift the break time furtherly too much. So, well, after talking about this further detail, why the y-axis couldn't be found in the rotation process as the same that of the available one, I answered this question, I think, because the coordinate frame was at relative location, not at absolute location. Clicked on this button, I said, for having the coordinate symbol, axis symbol, at the word place, at its absolute location. And then after having the coordinate frame at the absolute location, then when you start the rotation process, okay, and then indicate the green ring, yes, you see the simulated line, it is the axis for the ring is parallel to the y-axis. If you bring the cursor to this red ring, the vicinity of the red ring, then you see the axis of the ring. It is the axis in rotation process about which the selected body can be rotated or is to be rotated, is parallel to the x-axis. Now, blue ring and the simulated axis parallel to z-axis. Okay, these are parallel. Okay, now, before the break allowance, well, stop sharing. First, see your faces. One more time. Batuhan left the classroom, I think. Take a screenshot and then it is 38. Now by 48, enjoy break time.